I'm pretty sure you're well aware of the Iceberg trend that's going on, and I'm not going to waste that much time on explaining what it is. I'm breaking down the S.T.A.L.K.E.R version of the Iceberg made by Kuzak11, and perhaps later on in the future I'll do some more. For those of you who are not aware of the whole S.T.A.L.K.E.R series, it's made by Ukrainian developers GSC Game World, that is a survival horror / shooter RPG-like game that's pretty similar to Fallout New Vegas, as well as atmospherical-wise Metro 2033. It's a really good game series that I do recommend people to play, as well as it's a cult classic as well. While I traverse through the Iceberg, I'll be using the S.T.A.L.K.E.R experience to show how confident I am in a topic, as well as the fact that there will be spoilers in the video, of course, for factions, games, as well as character plots, so you have been warned. If not, you can fucking watch this video, I don't care.
Hey, bro.
In S.T.A.L.K.E.R Shattered Chernobyl, there's a bandit dressed up as a loner who sends in an SOS saying he's wounded. When you get close to him, you'll be ambushed by bandits. Fang is one of S.T.A.L.K.E.R's inner circle of friends that you need to chase in S.T.A.L.K.E.R Clear Sky, as well as he was mentioned in S.T.A.L.K.E.R Shattered Chernobyl. In S.T.A.L.K.E.R Clear Sky, you were supposed to kill him, but that was cut out in the final version of the game. In S.T.A.L.K.E.R Shattered Chernobyl, Ghost claimed that Fang was killed near Army Warehouse by a scarred stalker, and a later statement as well mentioning a scarred man with a VSS and hazeled eyes, which is clearly implying Scar, the protagonist of Clear Sky. But we're not done talking about Fang yet, we'll talk about him later. The X-Labs are abandoned laboratories that, in the lore, they were originally used to study psychic radiation after the first Chernobyl disaster. They are also responsible for the abominations that you see in the zone, as well as they created the Brain Scorcher near the Red Forest. Common Consciousness, or C Consciousness, is the result of a secret project made by rogue scientists as a super consciousness that was used to control and manipulate the noosphere, a theoretical realm of human thought which is slightly altered in the games. C Consciousness was also responsible for the second Chernobyl nuclear disaster by rifting the biosphere and the noosphere, which made the zone as we know today. Some members of Clear Sky were originally a part of the rogue science team that made C Consciousness.
Shouldn't have come here, Stalker. Now you will be worm food.
General Tachenko was one of the founding fathers for the Duty faction, as he and his team fell into a space bubble anomaly and call it Pripyat. You can hear the past SOS transmissions that he was sending out before he died in the anomaly.
Find a way out, help! We're running low on...
You can free what's left of him with the S.A.D detector, and read his final moments in his PDA before he takes his own life. Duty did attempt to cover up his disappearance with a story of him going on a Pripyat expedition.
Whichever way we go, we always end up at the same exact spot. I still can't get used to this fog. It's weird. The Chaperny disappeared without a trace. Maybe he found a way out. Day 6. We have run out of water. The Colonel flipped his lid and shot 2 people at point-blank range and then himself. Now I'm on my own in this damn anomaly. If I hadn't fixed for our communications with HQ to go down, they could have rescued us, and Duty wouldn't have existed. I wonder how things would have turned out. Ah, screw it. That Captain Tachenko died a long time ago, and this General Tachenko of Duty will follow him. That's justice, I suppose.
Wolf is one of the first NPCs that you meet in S.T.A.L.K.E.R Shattered Chernobyl, and halfway through the game he travels up to Army Warehouse and sometimes can die in a campfire there. According to his replacement in Rookie Village, he got a message by a stalker passing by, packed his things along with a box of dynamite. This does strongly imply that he did sell the dynamite to the Duty radicals in Army Warehouse. And if you do side with them in the whole dispute in Army Warehouse, They will blow up one of the walls in a Freedom base and attempt to kill everyone in there. Feng has 2 graves, one in Pripyat, which has his stash of items and other stuff, and the other one in Bloodsucker Village that's in Army Warehouse. It's implied that Feng was buried in Army Warehouse due to ghosts accounting that Feng was killed in Army Warehouse to throw off stalkers, or perhaps his grave was moved in Pripyat. Zaton has a controller which will talk to the player, telling him to leave and turn back. The Mercs are an interesting faction, and fucking dicks, of course. There are an implication that NATO or other Western nations are clients for the mercenaries due to the fact that their equipment are mostly Western based, as well as in the Russian version of the game, the mercenaries have Western accents when they speak. Also, an interesting thing, there's a downed UAV in Yanov Station that is an RQ-4 Global Hawk, a spy plane that's used by the United States as well as NATO, which means that NATO is interested in the zone, as well as it gives more evidence that the clients are NATO.
Watch out! Controller!
Sin is a cut stalker faction that are similar to the Monolith, as they're religious fanatics under the control of a psychic mutant and are hostile to everyone. Their habitat would be an army warehouse and military base. S.T.A.L.K.E.R is a Shattered Chernobyl overall improvement mod that has no artifacts, which is pretty strange for getting rid of a core mechanic in Stalker. Hand_radio is a radio that you can pick up in some of the games in like certain areas, but it can't really be used, sort of like with the guitar in Clear Sky or like the flashlight in Clear Sky again. This is a joke entry, of course, but the amount of mods that you do play, you will probably have a corrupted save like once or twice in a blue moon. They really fucking suck, though. Blood Soon Stalker is a popular meme, like, that's really it. The campfire stories that you hear from other stalkers throughout, like, you know, all 3 of the games have, like, interesting yet weird stories. For instance, like, there was this guy who wanted to be a pilot, and he walked into an anomaly that, like, just threw him up into the sky. I'll probably link the list of stories of, like, these, like, stalker tales, because they're kind of interesting yet funny at the same time. Darkscape is a cut area in Shattered Chernobyl, which was in between Dark Valley and Corden. The area can still be accessed in older builds of the game, as well as it's been repurposed by other mods as well, so you can access the area if you play like Color Chernobyl, Stalker Soup, or any other mod in general. There was supposed to be a chase sequence where you're supposed to be in a vehicle being chased by a helicopter, and mostly military and zombified stalkers were supposed to be in the area as well. Project Universal Soldier is an obscure Russian mod made by S.A.D Mods, and uploaded a gameplay trailer back in 2018 and was scheduled for an August release of the same year. But for some reason it never came out and has fallen into obscurity. I personally would love to play the mod for myself or get more information from the uploader, if he's like still around or not. God himself and CEO of GSC Game World, Sergei Grigorovich, is notorious for the amount of Pepsi he consumes, as he needs to sustain his physical form so he can see him in this mortal realm.
So you're the whole expert, eh?
Stalker Mobile was an old mobile phone game that has no connection with the main 3 games. It contains levels from the games as well as a strange leveling system. Due to the fact it doesn't have a plot structure at all, you can arguably say that it can take place in any part of the game without any significance at all. S.T.A.L.K.E.R Chernobyl actually uses a modified version of A-Life, in which the companions will learn more and more battle data from the player, which is self-learning. What they don't actually tell you is that S.T.A.L.K.E.R Chernobyl is actually a CIA front. I'll be extremely honest with you, I don't know what death bullets are. My guess would be that when you kill an armed enemy, they can still fire off a few rounds that can perhaps sometimes kill you. I really don't know about this entry as well, but I feel like it's because of the durability factor that some artifacts have in vanilla Stalker. Or probably when your artifacts turn into cobblestone in Stalker Soup. Like I said earlier in the entry about C-Con, they were originally trying to manipulate the Noosphere into controlling human thought and eradicating things like war and other man-made disasters. Kind of think of it as how Nerve from Neon Genesis Evangelion was trying to implement Third Impact to make everyone into one thought. Lost Alpha had a fuck ton of changes from vanilla Shadow of Chernobyl, but some are the Illuminati. I'm not making that one up. Doctor being more frequent in the story, former panel subjects called Sin or Darkstalkers that look like bandits and don't really get any sleep. Also getting abducted by mercs in Dead City. There are so many changes in Lost Alpha, I highly recommend you to play the game, or hell, even go on the wiki at 2 AM. I know I did when I was younger. In the early beta of Metro 2033, they actually used certain assets from Stalker, like from the running animation to some of the voices you would hear, as well as sound effects, even the ambience music that you can hear. The reason why would actually be because most of the devs used to work on Stalker, of course, so of course they would have access to these assets, of course. There also was alleged falling out between some devs and God Emperor himself, Gergorovich. I highly doubt that due to the fact that GSC really doesn't care if you use their assets or not.
That will be $20!
Oblivion Lost was the first attempted first-person shooter that GSC Game World tried to create before Stalker that used the same X-ray engine as Stalker, of course. The original storyline was that it takes place in a near-distant future where we colonize the solar system, but it was pretty bad back at Earth with massive landfills, low population, a dying atmosphere, everyone was isolated from each other. But there was an untouched area called the White Spot, or Oasis, which was basically what was the zone supposed to be. This is referring to the hit mission that you can take from Lukesh in Army Warehouse back in Shadow of Chernobyl. Even though that he's just gone crazy, he's labeled as a zombified stalker. I really don't know about the Monolith interrogation tapes, but I really am convinced that this is just a meme entry. Stalker 2 2002 was a planned sequel for Oblivion Lost, which had the plan of the zone consuming a chunk of Ukraine, Belarus, some of Russia. The writer for this script was Andrei Prokhorov. Would get him as well as Dmitry Glukhovsky's 2033 to inspire him to find 4A Games and develop Metro 2033 in the future. The Grey Brothers were from the Stalker Bible, who started a fanatical movement in Kiev about the zone, which had a very large cult attraction to it, which was referred as the Grey Zombies. They were later relocated to, which I believe was departments, and were soon forgotten by everyone else in Kiev. Build 2137 is a Polish meme. It's just referencing the time of death of Pope John Paul II. It's just really an edgy meme. Bread? 4K Stalker Loaf? It's actually neither of those. It's an item in Shadow Chernobyl which can be found in Borov's office. What's pretty weird about it is you can't consume it, but it can be tradable. The enemy in the fog was originally supposed to be an entity in Oblivion Lost. They were supposed to be ghost-like zombies, sort of like the hallucinations that you would see back in the Brain Scorcher, but we'll dig more into that in the next layer.
O Monolith, we do not hear you. Why have you left us, O Monolith?
The blind dogs are an unnatural entity in S.T.A.L.K.E.R. They're actually used with an experimental version of A-Life which knows everything the player will do, as it became self-aware and will always try to kill the main player. They're actually not even blind. They've awakened their third eye. Don't you find it weird that when you play Shadow Chernobyl, Wolf sometimes doesn't die in the trash can fire? Or the fact that Fox and Guy don't get mauled alive by dogs when you get there, but in a different playthrough they do? GSC Game World is actually hiding something very big, and I'll go more into detail sooner or later. Level 12 was supposed to be the foggy area in S.T.A.L.K.E.R. Oblivion Lost, which was supposed to have the creature in the fog that I mentioned earlier, last layer. There were also dead zones labeled around the map as well. In the design documents, there was an idea for a humanoid creature that helped the Chernobyl Institute in creating evolved humans with psychic abilities. It sounds like an early concept for the controller, but the whole plotline was just discarded. Torch to Light is quite literally a questionable unmarked can of meat, and from what I've experienced with canned food, and knowing about Adolf Lueckert, who killed his wife and dissolved her body in a sausage vat, there's probably some gross shit in there, I'm telling you. Also in the design document, there was supposed to be a partner that you were supposed to have up until around Garbage where he was supposed to die. Sort of like the caravan from Fallout New Vegas.
Иди ко мне.
Stack Trace is an in-game anomaly that was left in purposely by devs, so your game can deal with real anomalies, so Stalker can be experienced in real life. Why don't you think the X-ray engine always bugs out all the time? I'm honestly not sure about the Lost V mod, but I can assume that it was a mod pack uploaded on V, and either was a low-effort texture change or actual lost media that was the holy grail for Stalker mods. Either way, I think it's the first one, because V is garbage with really bad takes or people who just constantly shitpost and flood the forums. Stalker 2 wasn't actually cancelled because of the 2008 economical crisis or GSC having issues internally, but actually the CIA were interested in AI life technology and wanted to attain it for themselves. So they fueled Sergei's Pepsi addiction, which caused him to be addicted to the point where he was living on Pepsi, which drove funds from GSC Game World down so he can cure his Pepsi addiction. Stalker 2 is actually real. The Kiev government is keeping it a secret from the world. They're protecting us from the zone, but the zone from us. We Stalker fans need to go outside, take a shower, in the name of the Holy Monolith, and take our pilgrimage to the Chernobyl CNPP. Long live the Monolith! Hey, thank you again for watching this video. It took me a while to do some research, but I'm pretty sure I did everything right. Apologies if my voice sounded really dead in the beginning. I was recording like late at night. Hopefully soon enough I can maybe do an addendum if I got a few things wrong, or if I want to continue on making some, because there are some more icebergs out there for Stalker, and they have like a lot more information. Again, thank you for watching, and hopefully I can make more videos in the future.